So today on Mark My Words, I have the pleasure of talking to a guy who, in the short amount of time I've known of him, he has really inspired me quite a bit. He is a serial entrepreneur, and according to his LinkedIn profile, influencer, marketing thought leader. There is so much stuff that I could quote on Ricardo Zulueta. Hopefully, I said your last name
You get it.
correctly. Thumbs up. I listened to that soundbite on your profile a few times, and I was like, okay, Zulueta. I gotta get that right. So this is a man who's got quite a bit of branding and quite he I mean, if you're watching this, you can see right off the bat two things and maybe even three on your hat that
Yeah, no, same brand, same brand.
yeah, same brand.
Yeah,
So and I have to admit, at first I looked at the brand Fukitt.
yeah,
I was like, okay, how do I say this? Because
yeah.
you got the umlauts there.
Right,
And
right.
I took like I don't know if that's like a German word or
That's what
what.
people say.
Yeah, I took 5 years of German, so the first
Okay.
thing that I think is
You
like,
knew right away
okay,
is umlaut. Yeah,
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 I can't mess that up. It's definitely not the F word.
yeah.
So,
Right.
um, yeah, welcome, Ricardo. How you doing
Yeah.
today?
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Do you want to start by just kind of running
Yeah,
through
I'll explain a
everything?
little bit about the brand so your audience will know what it's about.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we'll start off with there because everything that I've done so far have kind of stemmed from my apparel company anyway. So let me tell you about Fuki Clothing. The way I explain it, everyone knows the concept of living life to the fullest, right? There's no one that doesn't know it, but it's actually just impossible. It's human nature to take life for granted. That's why we complain on Mondays, traffic, weather, stuff like that. You really just need reminders to remind you of the concept. It's kind of like someone getting cancer, getting into an accident. All of a sudden, you kind of appreciate your life more, and all the things that you know about living life to the fullest comes to you. But it's temporary, as you know. All of a sudden, Monday comes again, and it sucks. All of a sudden, traffic is here, and it sucks. The weather sucks. Something, right? But because if you're living life to the fullest, you should never ever complain about those things ever, right? So that's impossible. So you really just need reminders. So we figured with the brand, why not have more reminders? Every time you wear the brand, it just tells you to stop complaining and live life more. And anytime you do anything inspirational or motivational, it always tends to go to mental health. We took it a step further. We went to suicide prevention. Now, why is that? Because I lost my brother to suicide. And the biggest thing I learned from that was that whenever anyone, including myself, gets sad or depressed, it is not necessarily because of your situation, it's actually your perspective. So everything starts off with a bad perspective, and that evolves to becoming suicidal tendencies. Suicide is at the end, obviously, if you succeed. If you don't, you kind of go hopping back and forth until you change your perspective. But in any case, between that is, Monday sucks, weather sucks, my girlfriend sucks, this relationship, alcoholism, drug abuse, and then suicide. All that is one line, but everyone is very reactive and kind of waiting for you to be here. But anyway, so it's really the perspective we need to change. The way we help with that, with the brand, like you mentioned before, even though it's pronounced Fukitt, it persuades you to say fuck it more without being offensive about it, right?
right.
Now, why is that important? Well, everyone that's watching this, I'm pretty sure, is exposed to motivational, inspirational content every freaking day. You go on LinkedIn, there's so many positive quotes. You go on Facebook, inspirational quotes, motivational videos. And then you also, in between commercials, when you're watching something, you have Nike telling you to just do it. I mean, it is everywhere. And I always ask this, if that's everywhere and you have more access to mental health, like help, why isn't it working? Why is suicide rates going up? Why is mental health issues going up? Because they're all meaningless unless you actually make a decision about something. Without a decision, nothing will happen. But once you do, everything tends to follow automatically. People don't notice, but the only time we say that phrase, fuck it, is only until after we've already made a decision. It's the only time. The reason we say that phrase is because we're telling ourselves, or we're confirming to ourselves. You never say that phrase for someone. You're really just confirming to ourselves that you're actually going to follow through and commit to the decision you just made. You never ever back out, because the only reason we came out was you're already committed. No one plays poker and says, fuck it, I'm all in, and then do this, ever. So that is a very powerful mindset, because that is how you quit the job you hate, start your own business, let go of bad relationships or trauma. Until you decide, not a freaking thing happens. But once you do, everything follows. And this goes on. So when I tell people about the brand, just the way I did to you, we get into deeper conversations. And afterwards, I always get random messages saying, hey, you actually help my mindset. You helped me out. You changed my perspective, something, basically just help them become better. But the best ones are the ones that reached out to me and said, hey, I was suicidal when I met you, and thank you for saving my life. And this happened multiple times. And I said, whoa, that's crazy. I was just being myself and telling him what I know. And that's when I realized, like, this is something we need to duplicate. And I didn't know for the longest time how to explain that, but it's because of the proactive approach. So we created Start Day One, our nonprofit. Basically, the idea is to help people change their perspectives from dreaming of one day to starting day one. Day one means there's day 2, day 3, day 4. Everyone gets very overwhelmed, including myself. You get overwhelmed about everything you have to do and you have to change, but really you just don't know where to start. So it's for an alcoholic. I'm not saying quit tomorrow. For someone leaving a domestic violence, I'm not saying leave tomorrow. I'm saying once you decide, shit changes. All of a sudden, you do things differently, and you attempt to do it. The solutions come, basically. And that's what we're doing with Start Day One, is basically putting out a more proactive approach in helping people. And yeah.
And I read through some of these things. This is really echoing a lot of what I read. That really, like, your perspective on Start Day One is really cool, because it kind of has you looking at the present rather than being overwhelmed by the past or making it to the end goal in the future. And
Actually, the goal is actually to get more people to think about their future. I'm becoming more and more trying to not really stop people from living in the present, but it's easier to live in the present when you know your future, because people are not depressed because of the past most of the time. It's not what they can see in their past. It's actually what they can't see about their future. And a great example is a breakup. When you have a broken relationship or someone passed away, it's not because you had great, experiences, right, with them, but they're now gone. It's just that they're no longer in the future with you. So in a breakup, you visualize this one person to be with you forever and ever and ever, and we're going to have puppies together, and all of a sudden it's not going to happen anymore. And you can't seem to think of another person or another. There's so many other people in the freaking world, but your mindset is only on one. And because you can't see the future, it's actually what prevents you from living better in the present. So we talk a lot about, seeing a future version of yourself that's actually going to influence how you act today in anything that you do. So an example, if I just told you, go from point A to point B, but only look at your footsteps, don't look up ever. Do you think you're going to hit your target? There's no way. No. There's no way. Exactly. So without looking at a target or without knowing where you're going to go in the future, you don't know where you're going. When people tell me they're lost, where are you going? Where are you going? Like, basically, people that say they're lost, what they're doing is, if they were driving, they're in the middle of the highway and they just went park. They just put it in park and they're just sitting in the driveway going, I'm lost. Well, what do you do when you're lost? Usually you go to your GPS or ask for directions, mentors, right? You ask and you figure out, but what are you getting directions to? Until you know what your destination is, how the hell are you going to know the right way? You never will find it. The thing is, once you do find it, right, all of a sudden, you may have taken a wrong turn years ago.
Yeah.
So it's going to take you longer to get there, but you're still going to get there because now you know where you're going.
Exactly. And I love that. So you're taking action now to accomplish your goals of the future.
Exactly. It's kind of like I always integrate entrepreneurship with mental health. There's not one startup founder that has ever said like, oh, no one's going to download this app. No one's ever going to use this. Like, but I'm going to build it anyway. Like, no one does that. No one does that. What they see is a future version of this app. They don't have it right now, but they're going like, yeah, but it will be. This is what I'm trying to do with this. And all of a sudden they build the things, they get together their team, they get together venture capitalists, whatever, because they want, unless you have that version, you're never going to accomplish it. But just like people in personal life, we're always constantly evolving, right? If a business doesn't evolve, it's going to die, right? Like Facebook is scared of Shopify.
Yeah.
Right. So you really have to keep innovating all the time. And really it's the purpose that helps that with that's what helps you persevere. And if you don't know that version though, it's just gonna kill you, because every time you accomplish something, you want to accomplish this now you want to accomplish this. The future keeps moving. As we're talking, an hour from now, my future that I wanted is an hour later. And it's always going to go like this. I'm never going to catch it, ever. It's just never. I'm never going to. Goals allow you to do that. You can reach goals because goals are finite, but purpose doesn't stop. The problem is people don't know how to freaking create a purpose.
Yeah.
It's just like a mission statement. So just for people that are watching or listening, when you're trying to create a purpose for yourself or for your business, actually, let me tell you why it's even important to have a purpose. Everyone knows it as your why, right? But they don't know how to create the why. Like they don't even know how to come up with it. So let's go to the businesses first. For businesses, having a mission is very important because it allows you to kind of have an idea of who you are, but mostly because what it does is when you have a mission-driven company, it doesn't care about the negative or the positive, right? People, Elon Musk almost lost all of his money, even though he was already a multimillionaire, to SpaceX. Why did he do that? Because he had a sense of purpose to save the freaking humankind. Because he's like, we got to go to Mars, man. Like, we have to, basically his mission was to save humans, right? And so he persevered through that. If that fourth rocket didn't launch, he was done. I mean, with everything, not just SpaceX, like everything. So his sense of purpose is what made that happen. So the mission statement is very important to companies because of that fact. So now let's talk about what it is. So a mission or a purpose cannot be a noun. It is always a verb. Not too many people know this. I know people talk about purpose all the time, but they don't show or say how you do it. It cannot be a noun. It is always a verb. If you look at Facebook and you look at their mission, it is not to be the best social network. That's what you know Facebook as, right? Then why the hell are they buying WhatsApp? Why are they buying this and this and this and this? Because their mission is to connect people. And all these things is what's connecting people, right? So that's what the business they're in. That's their purpose. That's their mission. It's never ending. When the hell does it end where you connect people? Pandemic or not, all of a sudden we have video. That's why they're trying to go do this and do that, because they're trying to connect people. They didn't, if they just said to be the best social network, they would have been stuck there, right? And that's what happens to people also. Your own personal purpose. It's not to be the richest man in the block, to have the mansion, to be able to be like, if you keep talking nouns, it's not going to work because that's not a purpose at all.
Well,
and another, yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, you're saying such great things. I just want to circle back to something because everything you're saying is like super inspiring. It's all about today. You've got so much going for you, but I'm gonna contradict a lot of your forward thinking. I want to go back. I want to go back for a minute.
Yeah. No, I'm down.
Let's go all the way back to when you were just in college and you were becoming a financial analyst and in the corporate world. So back in those days, I mean, what exactly first of all, what got you into that field, and then what changed to really get you so supercharged to where you're at now?
I don't know. I mean, growing up, I was always a smiley dude. I don't know. I guess, optimistic or whatever you call it. Um, Nothing really changed. It's really the brand that started everything off. It was just started off as a college project, man. I didn't mean to do anything. It wasn't about mental health, helping people. I was just kind of saying, people, you got to live life more, you know? And when you're young, so our mission with the clothing is to inspire and motivate people to make the decision to live life without regret and accept challenges worth the risk, right? When you're younger, it's all mostly about accepting the challenges worth the risk. You don't really have much regrets when you're younger, you know?
Um,
So it was more about partying and living life, you know? But after a while, I knew that wasn't me, the whole me. It's just that what I was showing people, party. But I looked at myself and I said, later in life, is this something I'm going to be proud of? Is that what I want to be? Just partying all the time? It's impossible to party all the time, and that's not even me. And I don't party all the time. It's just that's when it's time, then I show you, right? Same thing with people do now on Instagram and stuff. That's not their whole entire life. They get miserable too. It's not perfect, right? Yeah,
yeah.
totally. So it really just started from there, and how it all started, how I even came up with the mission, because I'm like bugging out. I'm like, what the hell am I gonna? I'm not gonna be proud. I need to figure out what the hell is this brand. So how did I come up with that? First, I analyzed, why the hell do we say fuck it in the first place? Like, what is that? And I knew it was a sense of moving forward, right? But there's two ways that prevents you from moving forward. One, something is holding you back. Two, you just won't take the fucking step forward. So that's the reason you won't move up, right? And fuck it is what helps with that. Live life without regret is about the past. It's what's pulling you back. That's why you can't move up, because you're living a life of regret. So for people that, just to help them up right now, right, to live life without regret, how do you do that? And I used to think, like, shit, is that even possible? Like, to live life without regret is insane.
I've tried for years to tell myself I don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
You hear somebody like Madonna saying absolutely no regrets.
Yeah.
And that's impossible. Even she has regrets, I'm sure.
Right. So here's what I've found, though. Here's the cure to regret. First, you analyze, what is regret? Regrets are just personal experiences, because you can never regret for someone, ever. Something you went through, a decision you made that you said, I could have, would have, should have, right? Those are regrets. It's a personal experience that you never forgave yourself for. That's all regret is. Mark, no way. You could have, you would have, you should have, you didn't. Forgive yourself.
I love
Forgive yourself. That's all it is. That is all it is. It's because you won't fucking forgive yourself for something that happened in the past that you think is the cause of because you're miserable today. Regrets only come up when you're miserable. They never come up when they're happy, because you know what people say when they're happy and they have regret? Well, everything happens for a reason. Oh, now it was supposed to happen for me to be happy. Oh, but when you're miserable, you don't go like, well, I guess everything happens for a reason. I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life. You only hear that when you're finally happy. It's the only time. So regrets are just things you got to forgive yourself for. Now we'll talk about, now when you cut that cord of regret, now you can move forward, right? So fuck it. You make that decision to be able to move forward. Now what's preventing you from stepping forward? Because of the risk. So first it has to be worth the risk, right? So I knew that. And I told my friend, Roger Mazzella, and I said, take the challenges that are worth the risk. And he said, no, it's accept the challenges that are worth the risk. And I'm like, why? Because the challenges are always being set up in front of you, but it's up to you to accept it or not. And when you accept it is actually when you say, fuck it. And I'm like, ooh, you're right. And as soon as I changed that, our website, our mission, and all that stuff, it resonated with people a lot more, and they knew what I was doing. And that is something I can be proud of all the way to the rest of my life till I die. Like, I'm going to be proud of it. I've been saving lives. I mean, I just heard of this one story about this person. He didn't tell me he's been buying the brand, and he told me like, yeah, he saved my life from suicide. Just this is like recent, probably a year ago or something, or within the year. And he said, yeah, I saw your hat on my dresser, and you helped me. You prevented it. And I'm like, that's awesome. It's because of the branding. Branding is very powerful, right? That's why we pick up Coca-Cola but if you instill all the things that I'm talking about into one brand, and all of a sudden in that phrase, there's nothing that can replace fuck it. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
I tried. I tried, you know? And, people always think like, oh, but potentially this, I don't care about that. People don't buy my stuff to see what people are going to think about them. And how people feel about it. They wear it and buy it because of how it makes them feel about themselves, because of the brand. I'm saving lives. People don't buy my stuff so they can help the cause. No, I'm hoping you buy it because you might get suicidal. And no one is immune to this. No one. There's no one that committed suicide and said, oh, I knew that freaking 20 years ago that I was going to be suicidal, even though I was happy. Like, you didn't know. You just kind of get there. No one plans that. No one plans being drug abusers. No one plans to be an alcoholic, like ever. And and that's what I'm trying to do, is really change people's perspectives on mental health itself. There's a lot of things we could talk about in that.
Well, let me just back up for 1 second, because you it sounds to me like something just really clicked. You came up with your brand and you went for it. Now, when you took the plunge out of corporate America, did you really like just cold turkey take the leap, or was it
No,
a
so
process?
funny story. I've been laid off from jobs 3 times. And then there's like little jobs here and there. But that's when I realized it's not safe anywhere. And I knew that the worst case scenario, when I decide to quit or stop or fail or whatever, is that I work like everyone else. That's the worst case scenario. Like that is the worst case scenario. So why wouldn't I accept that challenge? Because it's worth the risk to me.
Mhm.
So it became so easy. The motto, the mission, it became my personal purpose, my personal uh, mission. And it just kind of helped me throughout my life and everything that I do. And I have a startup now in influencer marketing. I have the nonprofit, and not because I just wanted to have one. It just kind of went towards there because, well, if I want to accomplish the mission of inspiring and motivating people, you can't just talk about it. You have to tell people, show people. I see a lot of people that are motivational in this, but they never tried shit. Like they never even risked anything. Oh, but you can do it though, Mark. But you can do it. Well, did you? Did you try? Did you spend all your money? Like you didn't do it either. So easy to say, dude. But
Yeah.
I'd rather you kind of walk the walk also, and so those are the kind of things.
Well, I personally came to a point in my life where I was given the opportunity to take a buyout package from my company of 10 years. I took it and I started contracting. I used to be like a manager at that company, but then I started just contracting and being a little more of just a worker again. And I
Yeah,
found that I just wasn't feeling fulfilled like
fulfilled.
I used
Great word.
to feel. So that kind of spun off into me thinking about my younger self and saying, hey, I'm not getting any younger. And really, I've just been kind of working towards somebody else's goals. I haven't
Yeah,
even been working towards my
yeah,
own. And
yeah,
that kind of thinking, it really changed my life because
yeah, and
even though I still have a 9 to 5, I'm still contracting and
yeah.
doing all
Just
that.
the
I went for it, much like as you're talking, I'm thinking,
yeah. What you
even
were
though we
doing.
took completely different paths in life,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a
but
lot of similarities.
but
Granted, I don't have the cool branding and stuff that you have, but
nah,
it's
but it's the same
definitely
mindset.
it's the same mindset, and it's kind of like
But
coming along. I mean, just the name of my podcast, Mark My Words. I mean,
yeah.
that's a
Well,
brand, and that's something I've really grabbed onto. I'm like, that's my brand. That's who I
yeah.
am.
And did you
And
notice though, as you were talking, you said, "I'm not getting any younger." I'm that you're present. If you said like, "Oh, live in the present," you were fine, fine. But your future self said, "Is that where you want to be? You're good. Like you're
yeah,
good." And
well,
that's what made you change. Do you see? And that's
yeah,
what makes the future mindset even more powerful, because because you're seeing the future, the version of yourself, like, no, I could be better than this though. I think I could be better than this. And so you make present things, the present, the importance of the present is because this is the only time you can execute, right? The past is meant to learn from. The future is meant to guide you.
yeah.
Present is where you execute. So, but without that, it's going to be very difficult.
Well, I often, and even as current as today,
Mhm.
just have passing thought in my head about go like I guess version of me that's 30, 40 years older, and thinking about how I would feel if I stopped doing this podcast or stopped working towards some of these personal goals.
Mhm.
And I think even if I fail at everything that I'm doing, I would at least like to get to that point in my life and say, I actively did. I didn't just try. I
Mhm.
didn't just brainstorm it. I did it. And I think
Yeah.
that's really been what's been in my gut and in my soul
Yeah.
and my
Well,
heart for
and
years.
really all it is your perspective on your situation. That's all it is. Because you're saying like, if I fail, if I this, now, you know, the struggle is always going to be there. It's meant to be there. That's actually how you get peak experiences of like self-actualization. When you talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know if you remember that, right? First is your security and all that, but self-actualization is what basically you're becoming that better version of yourself, right? How do you get there? And when you're trying to come up with that, it's like you're always evolving. You know what I mean? Like you're always evolving. The Mark 10 years ago is not the same Mark now.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah, and 10 years from now is not going to be the same Mark today, right?
Right.
And hopefully what you're thinking of the 10 years from now, Mark, is an awesome version. All right.
Well,
So
frankly, when I look at myself today and go back 10 years and have that perspective, I'm like, wow, I'm pretty awesome now.
mhm.
So, I
But here's
mean,
the thing. And with perspective, it's really, how do you see yourself? See, you're in a good mindset right now, right? You're good, you're secure, you're good. Like, what's the worst case scenario if I stop doing a podcast? So you're not really relying on that, or you don't see it as a failure at all, because right now you're thinking like, well, you have this sense of like, you just kind of want to give this sense of entertainment or whatever it is, because that's the next second part of a purpose. As I was talking before, the first part, like I mentioned, has to be a verb, right? You have to do something for, uh, it has to be an action word. It can't be a noun. But the second one is, it has to benefit others. A purpose is never to be the richest one in the neighborhood, have a Lamborghini, or it's not a purpose. Purpose benefits other people. That's why anytime you do something, when I do something with my nonprofit, my clothing line, I save a life, and those are the good stuff. If I focus on that instead of focusing on how much money am I making though, but how am I getting this, but who's looking at me? Am I a superstar yet? Like, I'm gonna get miserable. But if I'm constantly just thinking about what I'm giving, that's what purpose does. Because the best things that keeps you happy is some kind of progress, growing, momentum, something of that sort, and giving. Those are the two best things, right?
right.
So when you have that sense of purpose, it does that for you. But the progress is what helps. And then, so this is my kind of like my guide for people. Again, I'll go back to the when you get lost, you need to know where you're going, but mostly you need to know why you're going. So everyone already knows, right? With Simon Sinek, it's your why and all this stuff. So it's like, why are you driving in the first place? Oh, I'm trying to go to freaking LA and my family's house to spend time with my family. So that's my purpose, basically. You create a purpose first, because once you have a purpose, what that does is it becomes a compass. I talked about perspective, how important that is, right? How are you going to know what's a benefit or a threat if you don't know what the purpose is? Because you can have a perspective on different issues, but which one's going to be a benefit or a threat to what you're trying to do? I'm trying to inspire, motivate people to live life without regret and accept challenges worth the risk. So everything that I do should kind of follow that. That's why it's great for companies, because it keeps them aligned. You don't all of a sudden become Mercedes and go, hey, let's do SUVs real quick. Like, wait, what do you mean? Why are you going there? Wait, what's our mission? So you have to go back to that, and it keeps you aligned. And a personal life keeps you aligned too. Because the reason perspective is so important is because if you don't change that damn perspective, the decisions follow your perspectives. If you think you're a freaking loser and that girl's not going to talk to me, guess what? Your decision's going to be, you're not going to talk to her. You're not going to do anything. You're going to stay at home. You're going to be miserable. If you shift your perspective, like, well, I could learn from it and see what happens, because you're never going to know who's going to like you until you find out, because everything that you know is just like a startup are assumptions until you get feedback or data. Until this girl says no, that's the only time you're going to know that it's a no. That's the only time. But for you to assume that they're going to say no, I don't know. She might have, but now you're never going to know because you don't even want to try. So those are the kind of things they do. So the decisions follow. But what's funny is people don't know the difference between inspiration and motivation. They think it's the same thing, right?
Right.
Inspiration always comes before perspective. What inspiration does, it shifts your perspective. That's all it does, to the good side. Trauma brings you this way, right? All the negative shit brings you this way, right? Perspective is what you really need to change. That is what every book does. That is what every fucking therapist does. That is everything that you read that changes and you go, oh my God, now I can do it. They change your perspective somehow. Mm-hmm. Because motivation is never going to work until I change your perspective, right? People that just broke up with someone, come on, let's go out, let's go out, let's go out. Oh my God, let's go meet someone, let's go. You haven't even changed their perspective yet. They're going to go, no, dude, no. And you're annoying. The motivation comes after the decision. The same thing with passion, same thing with goals. How the hell are you going to have a goal if you don't know what you're trying to do? It's not going to work, right? So it actually comes there. And that's my process for pursuit of fulfillment, because that is always constant. It's going to shift. So do this, do this, do this. But without that purpose, never going to happen. And there's different purposes. Purpose as a parent, purpose as a business, purpose. So there's different purposes all the time. So it's constantly happening every day. That's what life is, right?
So with everything going on in your life, like, how do you juggle everything? Because you've got, even one thing we haven't even talked about, you're a tattoo artist. You have all these brands. And I probably know the answer before I'm even asking. But since you're so good with words and so inspiring, I'm going to ask anyway.
Yeah.
Do it. Let her
rip. It's kind of like when you ask someone, wow, you have 6 kids. How do you do it? It's like, well, do you want them to neglect one? Do you want them to not do the other one? And you see what happens all the time? Shit changes. All of a sudden, they make it happen. Well, how did you make that happen? Because I decided I'm going to make it happen. The ones that complain and stuff are the ones that doesn't make it happen, right? That's always the first step. What I've learned when we're in a bad place is we tend to hate accountability and love to have excuses when we're in a bad mindset. So with me, with these multiple things that I'm doing, it's like, well, why not? If I can't handle it, I'll stop one of them. I can't do that with a kid. So I even have the luxury of being like, I don't think I'm going to do that one anymore. It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to, right? No one's waiting for it or anything. It's like, I just kind of do it, right? I just make it happen because I want to. And this, I feel my purpose is to help people in this. So I keep doing these things. An entrepreneur to me are just mission-driven people that solve problems. People that don't know sales, that can't sell shit, they figure it out as an entrepreneur. But that mission is what makes them do that. If you don't have a mission, you don't have a purpose, it's very difficult. So Elon Musk was very introvert. You can tell just hearing him talk, but he's on TV every freaking day now. How's that possible? Right? Well, because the purpose set tells him to. So for me, juggling things, I like, yeah, it sucks. It's rough, some things stresses you out, but then there's something in me like, all right, try your best first. And I always ask once when obviously I'm human and I go through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And when I feel like giving up, I basically ask myself, did you try your best, man? Like, is it time? Like, is it time? Have you tried, like your best? No. All right. Let's keep going.
And you said something really important that
Yeah.
I think some people do overlook. And I know even for me in my past of just racking my brain on what I can do, just entrepreneurial, uh, you have to be able to solve a problem for somebody. And
Yeah.
that is like a real key. And I feel like this whole podcast for me, while, guests like you, like really get me fired up. Like this is what it's all about for me. This is why I'm doing it, because this just makes me feel great to just be connecting with
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
like you. But the problem I'm trying to resolve is open people's eyes to the possibilities in life, that you don't have to just go to college or go into the workforce and just work for a man your whole life.
Yeah.
You have the power. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't, at least at this point, I'm not making a dime off of this. But
Yeah.
if I've learned anything, I've learned that you do have the power to flip the script and work for yourself. And
Yeah.
I have a couple different reasons for doing this podcast and the problems I want to solve for people, but that's definitely at the core. I want people to see that, look at this person, they had the mindset of, I'm going to be a financial analyst. And even though you had a lot of branding ideas that came along, I mean, I'm going to guess, and I could be wrong, and you can call me out, but I can guess that maybe back years ago in high school or whatever, you probably could not have envisioned like all this that you're doing now. Like,
No, not at all. Not at
yeah,
all.
and
So
that's
it's
exactly what I'm trying to do.
yes. So what people don't understand is this. It's like when you go through struggles and bad things and stuff, again, it's all based on your perspective, right? Like people that are trying to do the American dream. The fucking American dream is not a Lamborghini or a mansion and freaking girls everywhere and rock star status. That is not the American dream. The American dream was you get to keep the fruits of your freaking labor, get married, have a white picket fence with a dog in your freaking family. That's, you can get that in the ghetto. Like that's available there. Except the people in the ghetto thinks, oh, this is not the American dream. Like, what do you mean? You have air conditioning.
Yeah.
You didn't even, that wasn't even included in the American dream. That's a perk. You have heat too? Wow. Good for you. You've already achieved the freaking American dream. In fact, the freaking government's paying for it. But your perspective is, no, I'm not enough. It's not the American dream. I need a freaking Lamborghini. Where's all the girls? Those are just all extras. Those are just like wants, right? Not necessary. So people that are struggling in this, it's really their perspective on their own life, right? That's really all it is. It's like if you change your perspective on what success is and what this is, and really about fulfillment, like how do you get fulfilled? But again, like I said, it's like people tend to love excuses and hate accountability when you're in a bad place. Let me tell you how I found that out. So as I was talking to people about my brand, this couple actually bought my stuff and then they walked away. And then there's this one kid, he rolls up to me and says, hey, I love what you're telling people, that it all starts with a decision, but it's not that easy. And I said, I never said it was easy. It starts with a decision. He goes, yeah, but I'm in rehab now, and this and this and this and this. And I go, yeah, that all that doesn't matter. It always starts with a decision. Yeah, but, and I said, oh my God, hey, can you do me a favor? Stop saying but. It always starts with a decision. Tell me why you can't do that. And I backed up. This kid is sitting here for like 2 to 3 minutes going like this. And then he goes, yeah, almost, almost said but only because I told him stop saying that. Now tell me why you can't. He's going through his database of excuses because what else could you be doing there? A decision can be made in 0.0000 instant, right? I didn't tell this guy, hey, after you run a marathon, you're going to feel so much better. After you do 20,000 sit-ups or even read a book. All I said was, dude, it all starts with a decision because that's the common denominator of everyone that did it. Couldn't do it. And I'm just like, that's weird. And then he finally goes, you're right. You're right. I said, I know. You're welcome. Now, this is a person that went into rehab and haven't even decided to get better. This happens a lot. He's going for you. He's going for mom. He's going for everyone else. And he's going because it's everyone's annoying. And it's the test. Like, let's see if this fixes me. You got to fix you. No one fixes you. You have to fix you. And so that's the first step. So I told the same exact story. Another event, another person, completely different place. This lady, another one, she goes, yeah, but it's different for everyone. And I said, what? Oh my God, who says that? Like, here's another one. And I said, no, it always starts with a decision. She goes like, I don't think so. So immediately I'm going like, oh, she must be going through some shit. That's what's going on here. So anyway, after a while, she walks away. I mean, I'm talking angry. So why would someone be so angry? So my analytical self starts analyzing things. And I'm like, why would you be so mad? And it's not like I'm saying that this is the cure. I'm just saying everyone, and it's proven, everyone that's made it always started with the decision, like always. It's just that it starts there, right?
Right.
Why couldn't she do it, right? And why is she mad about it? Why is she so mad about it? And here's why. I finally went, as soon as that girl or anyone watching or listening that's going through shit right now, as soon as you agree with me, is as soon as you cannot use your stupid excuses anymore. You now know that you are accountable for your own happiness, that like, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. And with that, it doesn't matter if you were abused as a kid, raped, this, that, like you're saying like, all right, I'm going to be better. Until you do that, how do you expect to be better? So a lot of people are freaking insane. They complain about things they do nothing about. So, but the only way to move forward is that. And here they are wondering like, oh, I can't do it. I can't make it. Like depression. It's like, what? You gotta, it starts here. Yeah, I don't know, but like, why are you getting mad at me when I say it starts with a decision? It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like anyone depressed, watch. Anyone that's depressed, they're like, oh, it starts with a decision. It's not that easy. It's this. And it's like, that's so weird. Like, why are you mad? It's because they're in that place. They don't like accountability. It can't be them. It cannot be them. It can't. And that's when I started really learning that. And I went, oh, you don't want the accountability. And so the goal, when anyone is depressed and things, you have to hold them accountable or else they never leave. Here's the fucking problem. Doctors, organizations, society are giving them the best excuse. They're basically taking away hope, which is, once you take away hope, you're not accountable for anything because there's nothing you can do. Right. And that's the difference between struggling and suffering. Struggling is, you know what the end goal is, like a marathon, you struggle throughout that shit, but you know what you're trying to achieve. Startups, you struggle like a freaking crazy man and then you try to achieve that. But suffering is feeling that you're doing something that's out of your control. You have zero control. That is suffering.
So is there a client or a story that you're just most proud of? Because I can't imagine anybody being a client of yours and not like, being convinced. I mean, I feel like I'm in a very good place in my life right now. I'm like, man, I'm never going to look back on anything after doing this episode. Like, I'm
Well,
super pumped up.
hey, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. And that's the thing. And we haven't even gotten to like the nitty gritty of like what people are doing to keep them down. Like, and it's everything that I'm telling you too, by the way, it's not like something scientific. This is based on my listening skills, talking to people,
Yeah, I'm picking up on that.
analyzing. It's just common sense stuff that's been happening. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? Because I'm just looking and I'm going, it's just the entrepreneurial thing in me. I applied it in the mental health field. That's what's happening. And so any specific stories, really, it's the ones I'm like, I saved their life. That's insane. Those would be my best ones. I can't, how do you get better than saving a life? Like, how do you do better than that?
Is
So
it
if I
hard
can
to
change,
is it hard to single anything out at this point?
oh my God, it is hard. So what makes it hard? Because so everything that I do is not, when you're already suicidal or depressed and all that stuff, hey, listen, I'm not the go-to. I'm just going to tell you what I know. I'm not a fucking doctor, though. I am all about prevention because people see physical health very easily, right? When you gain weight, oh, diet and exercise. You can see it. Your mental health, how do you know who's suicidal? How do you tell? You can't. You might be able to tell some signals, but those are fucking symptoms. That means they're already there. How do you get them when they're 50 pounds overweight, 10 pounds, 5? Where do you get them? Right? Anything you have to prevent, any kind of prevention requires a proactive approach. Doesn't matter what the hell it is. Diabetes. We don't tell kids to keep eating candy because you know how to look for symptoms of diabetes, right?
Right.
Halloween, you hide some of the candy, like just because, and you tell them, hey, don't eat all of it, you know, because of that fact, and that's how you prevent that. So why aren't we applying the same exact concept to mental health, right? To prevent mental health, that's why you see teal on a lot of my stuff. It's a reminder. This is our theme color. It's a reminder of the things you can give in helping prevention. It's your time, effort, attention, and love. Teal is something you don't give. Oh, you're suicidal, Mark? Come on. Come on, give me a hug. Come on.
Well, I'm definitely not suicidal after this episode.
Yeah. But right, like, why are people waiting? Like, oh, look for symptoms for your kid, let's say. Oh, if he's not coming out of his room and he's doing this, oh, now I'll give him a hug. Now I'm going to spend time with him and go to the park. Like, you should be doing that yesterday. The best time to go to the gym, today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you're 5 pounds over 10. It's actually today. It's today. Like, there's really no, it's just easier when you're already in shape, right? That's all
Right.
it is. Same thing with your mind. You want to wait till you're depressed and then go, okay, I really need to change my perspective on things. I need to really let go of this divorce. When you're there, that's insanity. That's insanity. It's like, no, start working on it. People don't see depression the same way. And it's because the society as a whole is fucking up. Because what they've done is, as an entrepreneur, when you're trying to solve problems, always try to remedy the cause, not the result. Stop trying to make a better mousetrap. Hey, this is the mousetrap 2000. This can get this many mice and this and this and that and this and that. Great. Oh, but there's a new version of this mousetrap. Oh, you got this, and then pharmaceutical drugs, and right? Always trying to get all you're doing is remedying the result, but the cause is still there. So what happens if you remedy the result when the cause is still there? So instead of getting a freaking better mousetrap, why don't you get some duct tape and plug that hole? That's all it took. Not the freaking mousetrap 2000. Duct tape. Boop. No more mice. No more mice. That's it. Because you looked for the cause, how they're getting in. How are they there in the first place? If you don't remedy that, you're gonna have to buy how many mousetraps? Like,
Right.
right? And that's what we do with mental health, though. Here's the problem with mental health: the result and the cause. What is causing depression? To me, it's a negative perspective, a bad perspective. It evolves always, always. Look at every scenario. It always stems there, right? But what doctors have said, they reversed it. So to me, you have a bad perspective, about your life, and all of a sudden you get depressed, and now you're in depression. The doctors and organizations are saying that this way, instead of the depression here, perspective here, they go like this. Oh, Mark, you have depression. You're probably going to be depressed. So now you're not going to be able to let go of that divorce that happened. Do you believe that?
No.
Right. And so when you give this freaking excuse, and especially when you are in a bad place already, you're going to latch onto that excuse. Oh, I have depression. That's why I'm depressed. I'm not accountable for it. I'm just depressed.
But, and I think you're hitting on something really good, because I'm relating this as you're talking. I'm kind of relating it to my own life, because we all go through ups and downs. Last year was a down year for everybody, and I definitely went through a lot of down moments last year. And a therapist or whoever can tell you that you have this or you're feeling that, but the key, and I think, is the thing that you're trying to teach in your life and in this episode, is that you can latch on to that. And if somebody tells me I'm depressed, I can latch on to that and just continue muddling through life. Yeah, I'm depressed, but you make a decision. And when you make that decision to change and to listen to people like you, and you make that commitment to bringing yourself out of it. And I personally will tell you that I went through like a program just to kind of talk, because that's kind of like the place that I got into. I was just kind of down for a while, just with everything going on.
Because
I could have gone through that and just kept having that attitude, but I was like, you know what? I'm making the decision to, crawl, claw my way out of it, and try to get back to the pre-pandemic Mark, which I feel like I've gotten back to, and just spiritually for myself. And I'm basically saying all this to kind of back everything that you're saying, in that even though you didn't mentor me or anything, it's like I can relate. You have to make that decision, because people can talk at you and tell you what your diagnosis is or whatever, but you have to do it. And that way with everything. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this podcast, was to show people that, look, I've had all these obstacles in my own life and my own journey, but I didn't let it stop me. Sure, it might have gotten me down and might have gone through rough patches throughout the journey and along the way, but ultimately, I eventually decided to dust myself off and keep on going. I made that decision.
Exactly. And you took accountability for it. You did everything right. And you'll see that I always try to look for consistencies, right? If there's something I say that's not consistent, there's a rebuttal that I can't freaking argue, then it's like, I got to rethink what I'm saying here. But until then, right now, I'm convinced that that's what it is, because it's a repetitive process. I see it in everyone, like, oh, it's when you made the decision. Oh, it's because your perspective changed. Oh, it's because you saw a different version. Oh, that's what's consistent every freaking time, right? So, when you give someone this crazy ass excuse that it's depression, guess what that does to the person? There's no more hope. Once you take away hope, that's called suffering now, because there's nothing they can do about it. That's what you told them. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, that's insane. So when people have an argument with me, because I already know when they're in a bad mindset, because they will disagree like crazy, right? And I'm just telling you to start Start with a decision. Like, I don't know what you're pissed off at. But anyway, what I want to ask the people that are feeling like that, if they are listening to this and watching this, and you do feel that way, right? Do you believe that everyone that has cancer dies? What do you think, Mark? Does everyone with cancer die?
Well, depends on how you look at it. I
Does
mean,
anyone ever live after cancer?
well, it depends on how you look at it, I guess.
No, I'm saying, does anyone ever survive defeated cancer ever?
I mean, I guess eventually, whether it goes into remission.
Everyone dies, Mark, but I'm saying,
Well,
has
yeah.
anyone ever beat cancer?
Well, nobody truly beats cancer, but
But like
it,
lives.
yeah,
Like basically, do people, 100% of people that have cancer, do they die? Like right because of the cancer? Like, do they die 100% of them?
not necessarily. Or
Yeah, it's no.
yeah,
Like, there's people walking around, I beat cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. They wouldn't be. So those are basically our proof, our evidence, right?
yeah,
So it does happen.
yeah.
But everyone thinks cancer means death, right? Instantly. If I told you you had cancer, you're going to have a really hard time. Like, you're going to
Well,
go, oh my God, I have cancer. Your stress response is going to go nuts. Your cortisol level is going to go crazy. Your amygdala is just going to be going nuts. It's going to go like, oh my God, you're going to die. What's going to happen? And you haven't even died yet, and you're already going nuts with internally, right? So
well,
the
I
reason
guess
I'm,
not to cut you off, but
yeah,
I think my perspective, if you diagnosed me with cancer right now,
yeah,
I would not necessarily think I'm gonna die, but
okay.
I would at least think, okay, that's not good. I'm in a little bit of trouble. And that would be my perspective.
Yeah,
No,
you're gonna have a little bit of trouble. You're gonna
yeah,
go, shit. If I said, Mark, you have cancer, you're telling me you're just gonna live every day like it's the same,
no,
right? It's gonna be scared because people die, right? Same thing
yeah,
with the pandemic, COVID-19. Shit. A little less now because we know the percentage is a lot lower. With cancer, it's a lot higher, right?
yeah.
When you hear cancer, it's almost like, do we say goodbye now? Like, it's bad. But the reason I'm asking you this is because people keep looking at like how people stay depressed. Why don't you look at the ones that gets out of it? What is the common denominator of people that survived even after being diagnosed with cancer? The ultimate, what's the common denominator? They all decided, nope, not gonna die, not gonna
Exactly.
die from cancer. I'm gonna make the decision to do this. Now, people that are listening, the reason I'm telling you this is you're treating depression worse than cancer. And you're actually not telling yourself, I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna get rid of this. And you're just leaving all accountability and just going like, yeah, it's kind of like going, yeah, I guess cancer's gonna take me. Oh well, it's not my fault. Like, you're not gonna do anything about it? Nothing? So stop complaining about it though. Stop complaining about it if you're just gonna do nothing. So the thing is, the reason I'm saying is the only common denominator is that they decided that they're gonna be better. All of a sudden their diet changes. All of a sudden they exercise and they attempt, they at least freaking try. Because everything that I'm doing, what's better for you? To tell you that you have zero chances or you do? Because even if you have zero chances, because I don't know what it is, I don't know what your excuse is, you can always go back to that.
Right.
But my version is, hey, you have a chance. It's called hope. You might be able to. And the only way to do that is by doing this. And you have to start. You have to start. And that's how there's not one person that didn't die from cancer and said, I don't know, I actually thought I was going to die. Like, definitely. Because it never happens. The reason is because the ones that think they're going to die, their stress response goes so hard that they die even earlier or right on time.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all the time. The ones that don't are the ones that said, nope, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to exercise because I love my kids. I'm going to do that. And then they make it through. And then they make it happen.
And
That's
as
the
you're
only difference.
and as you're talking, I'm thinking of a couple different examples of people who just said no. Like there was one woman, she had branded, like she had a documentary called Crazy Sexy Cancer, and she kind of like branded herself with that. And
Mhm.
the documentary was about her just saying, you know what, I don't even remember what cancer she had, but something pretty bad. And she just said,
Yeah.
nope, and lived
Yeah.
her life to the fullest, went
Yeah.
into remission. I think she's still alive. She did a documentary like
Yeah.
15 years ago. So
Uh,
she's still going
yeah.
strong. And
Yeah.
it's
Because,
just making me think of her. It's a great example.
yeah. And so the reason I bring this up, cancer, because it's pretty massive, right? And it's basically something internal. Like you said, it's like cancer is, everyone has cancer. It's what's going to make it come out. Right? You have it. Like, it's just like, and a lot of times it comes down to your diet and your exercise. Almost all the freaking time, anything physical, it always comes down to that. Almost all the time, unless there's some kind of unique, uh, issue or whatever. But either way, something else was probably a cause. But in any case, the reason I'm talking about this because one of the best rebuttals, because they love this excuse. Oh, you're gonna love this one. Um, it's chemical imbalance. You've heard this, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's the best excuse ever. Problem is when people tell me that, well, you're under the assumption that chemical imbalance is the cause, not the result. Because from what I've learned, the chemical imbalances that are happening is just a result based on your stress response. Stress response means it's responding to the cause. What's causing is what I want to know. You're just talking about the result. And so they go like, yeah, but studies show people with depression have chemical imbalance. Yeah. And studies show that people with diabetes have crazy blood sugar levels. What are you trying to prove? Because you're just talking about the result. That's
Mhm.
all you're talking about. So does that make sense? Like, well, everyone's
Yeah.
studies show. It's like, well, yeah, because that's the sample you're using. I don't get it. You're talking about the result though. So people always use that as an excuse that it's the cause. And I'm like, no, that's just the result, just like your emotion is. People walk around. Do you know people that walk around and say, oh, I've been dealing with depression for like 10 years now?
Yeah.
Oh, my anxiety is so high today. What? I don't get that. Here's why I don't get it. Emotion is, depression and anxiety are just emotional responses. Response. Again, it's a response, man. Just like happiness. I still haven't to this day heard anyone go like, oh, no way. Well, I've actually had happiness for like 16 years. Do you hear that? Oh, no way. My envy is so up today.
You don't hear that.
No, why? They concentrate on two emotions, depression and anxiety. Why? Why just those two? But no one goes like, oh my God, my anger today. Whoo. Well, what's causing you to be angry? Like, what's causing you to be angry? A lot of times your perspective. Well, because this and this is just like, is that worth it? Is that worth getting all riled up about? Like you really just have to change your perspective. That's where it all derives from, right?
Well,
So
I'll tell you what, just to steal a line from you here, I know my happiness and envy are way up because this has been really amazing to
oh,
listen
thank you.
to. And frankly, I almost feel like we could do a 5 hour episode on
Oh, I
just,
can.
yeah, I know you could. Yeah, I almost feel like we didn't really scrape the surface on some of the deeper nuances of career transition and entrepreneurship, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely gave us a lot. I mean, I don't, I feel like I'm cutting you short, but
That's okay.
I do want to give you a chance to just kind of talk about your brands a little bit and talk
Yeah,
about how people can get in touch with you and beyond this episode because frankly I feel like I could just keep listening to you the whole night, but
thank you.
unfortunately I gotta get up early. I gotta
Yeah,
off. So tell
yeah,
us a bit about your
yeah,
little just the general stuff about
yeah. Sure, of course. So basically, I'm easily found. You can go to my apparel company's website at fukitt.com. It's fukitt.com. You can also check out our nonprofit foundation. It's startday1.org. And basically, all the social media is all on the websites. So yeah, you can just go there and check those out.
I almost want to ask you for some like entrepreneurial advice, but
Yeah.
I almost feel like all you have to really do is listen to this episode and visit your sites, and just really the message is just all there in front of you. And
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know if I've ever been more inspired than I am right now.
That is so great to hear. And what's good about this for any kind of audience is going to benefit from what I'm telling you. Everything that you do basically is an extension of yourself, whether it's a job, a startup, a relationship. It's basically your mindset, who you are. And so if you can help that, it can enhance everything else around you, your startup, your business, everything else. So yeah.
All right. Well, this was Ricardo Zulueta, who I keep saying his name correctly, and I'm proud of myself for that. Boy, I
Yeah.
feel like I could talk to you all night, but I think this is for our own benefit, so we can carry on with our day. That's about all the time. So thank you so much for taking time out of
Definitely.
your busy schedule, and I hope to have you on again, and maybe we'll go live next time.
Yeah.
You had me inspired. Let me just say on the record here, you had me inspired just off of our 15-20 minute conversation to look into Calendly and to look into
Yeah,
uh, upgrading so I
that's
can
great.
record and go live. I'm like, what is it about this guy? Like, it got me feeling like, because you didn't do anything in particular. I didn't get like even a fraction of
That's
what I got tonight
yeah.
when we talked before. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
what is it
great.
about this guy that like he's like in my mind? Like
Yeah, and
I feel
that's the
like
best.
I feel pushed.
Yeah, and that's the best part about changing people's perspectives. It's not something you have to remember.
Yeah,
It's something you have to keep working on. It's like, dude, just change your perspective on things. I'm telling you, it's gonna follow, but make sure you have a sense of purpose. And it's just that's easy. That's the formula. It's an easy formula, and it's just common sense. It's not scientific. It's nothing crazy. So yeah, next time we could just talk about my startup. We'll talk about next time. We'll talk about influencer marketing.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, you had me pumped up just like
That's awesome.
without really even knowing half of what I know now.
That's
So,
great. Oh,
hey,
that's so
look,
great.
anybody listening or watching, suicide prevention, even just depression, whatever you're going through, this is a very good guy to talk to. And if he got me investing in Calendly and StreamYard, then he's definitely doing something right. So again, this was Ricardo Zulueta. I'm Mark Schmidt. Thanks for tuning in to Mark My Words, and I'll be back soon with another episode. So long.
Thank you.